help me, is usually our plea when all else fails, when we really don't know what else we can do. And very often we find ourselves in this situation where the only thing we can think to do is plead for mercy. This verse of Bhaja Govindam beautifully summarizes the essence of prayer. It says, Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam, iha samsare bahutustare, kripaya pare pahi morare. The first two lines is talking about how we're stuck in this cycle. We're continuously born and continuously die and continuously find ourselves back in the mother's womb to live this yet another lifetime. And even if we don't believe in reincarnation, we can still relate to the idea of finding ourselves back into the same problem or a same situation or some pattern of behavior where we get so stuck and then we find ourselves desperate to get out of it, but we can't seem to find a way to get out of it. And it could be something as simple as an addiction to a physical thing, or more in terms of our thinking style and relating to people. And so the idea of it's a cycle and we keep finding ourselves in this miserable situation. But specifically in this verse, when it's talking about finding ourselves in the womb of the mother, the scriptures have said that every jiva, every soul in the womb says to itself, this time I'm going to get it right. This time I am not going to get sucked in by all these temptations and not going to get distracted. I'm going to focus on the path and get to my goal. So there's this determination at the start, but like with all things in life, sometimes that determination dwindles. And so we find ourselves helpless, or we find ourselves hopeless. And in this state, then we just pray because we know nothing else to do. And prayer is extremely powerful, especially when it comes from the depth of our heart. It opens up our heart to receive the Lord's grace. And that can play out in so many different ways. Swami Swarupanandaji talks about when he was in severe pain with the disease that he has, spondylitis, and he couldn't even move. The body had become so tight and so drenched in discomfort that he didn't think he would survive the night. And the entire night all he did was chant the Hanuman Chalisa, and it was the only way he was able to get through it. And so many others like him talk about being in immense pain, either physically or emotionally, and the only way they get through it is holding on to a specific chant or thinking and pleading to the Lord to help them to get through it. And prayer answers itself not only in just when we're chanting it, but there's so many beautiful stories of what you might say as coincidences, but there must be something more to it. There is a lovely incident of a very poor family where the mother was very keen to celebrate the birth of Sri Krishna on Janmashtami and wanted to prepare simple prasad, but couldn't afford the ingredients to make it. Couldn't even afford a basic meal for the kids, but she was so determined to. And so she sat down and she wrote a prayer to Lord Krishna, asking that I don't want much. I just want to worship you and honor you and celebrate you. The next day she went to the grocery store and she asked the man that I don't have any money, but what would you be willing to give me for me to prepare a small dinner for tonight's puja? And the man laughed. Not someone you would call very devout, a businessman at the end of the day, wanting to run a legit business, and he thought, well, without money, why did you even come? And she wasn't at all embarrassed. She said, well, I've said a prayer and I have complete faith that it will be answered. So again the man laughed, but maybe some goodness in his heart, or maybe curiosity, or maybe even cheekiness. He said, okay, well, let's see how much your prayer can buy you. And write it on a piece of paper and put the paper on the scale, and then we'll measure how much items in the store that you can collect that's worth that same weight. and she pulled out from her purse the prayer that she had written the night before and placed it on the weighing scale. And he said, well, choose anything you want. And to his surprise, no matter what she put on the other side of the weighing scale, it didn't move. The prayer was heavier. And she put in flour, she put in vegetables, she put in rice. By now it should definitely have moved. It's just a piece of paper. When she looked up at him, he said, well, I gave my word and I'll be true to it. And she too took only what she needed to prepare the meal for Krishna's prasad. She left very, very happy. And the minute she left, he checked his scales. And sure enough, they were broken. But they were working just prior to that. Coincidence? Maybe. Or it could be the power of her prayer. When our hearts really yearn in some way or the other, our prayers are answered. And most of us will get to that point where we don't know what else to do. We only know to scream out, help. If we're going to get to that point at some time or the other, why not start itself with prayer and become more efficient at it? And so this verse of Bhaja Govindam says, Iha samsare bahut dustare. This world that we live in is so incredibly difficult. Every facet of our lives has so many challenges. And so, Kripaya Pare, you Lord, who is so filled with compassion, please save me. Pujya Gurudev in his commentary has written it as poetically as what it is in Sanskrit. He has said, if we pray on a regular basis, it helps us to connect to that divine essence within ourselves. It helps us to tap into that grace more frequently and allow it to flow more abundantly through us. Think about it.